From LPM,
Louisville Public Media.
Support comes from the Fresh Market, with a new store now open on Summit Plaza Drive. Find fully prepped holiday meals and online ordering at thefreshmarket.com.
Y'all know what time it is. It's that time of the year when you probably still have Halloween candy sitting around. You're hit with more red and green than the law should allow whenever you so much as shop for toilet paper. And a certain billionaire songbird floods our airwaves to remind us that she doesn't want a lot for Christmas. That's right, it's winter holiday season. So we're resharing Gifting a Soulful Christmas, the holiday special where we share some classic Black Christmas songs and talk to some folks about why they're special. Enjoy the Encore, and no matter what you celebrate, happy holidays. I'm Michelle Tyreen Johnson, and this is Gifting a Soulful Christmas, an hour-long look at Black holiday music. From me and the team that brings you the podcast, Race Unwrapped.
Merry Christmas, baby. Should it treat me nice?
On Race Unwrapped, we look at how race affects everything around us, whether we're thinking about it or not. And today, we'll turn that lens to Christmas music. Because you might not think about it, but your holiday playlist depends a lot on who you are, where you come from, and how you're listening. We'll unwrap it all this hour on Gifting a Soulful Christmas from Louisville Public Media.
I got music on my radio. Feel mighty fine, girl. I got music on my radio.
Of a white Christmas, just like...
No disrespect, Bing, but that's not what we're talking about this hour. Welcome to Gifting a Soulful Christmas, an hour-long look at Black holiday music from Race Unwrapped and Louisville Public Media. I'm Michelle Tyreen Johnson. So, let's set the table. What is Black Christmas music?
Let me tell you about Christmas. I love Black Christmas. I love Black Christmas songs.
Black Christmas holiday music is an entire mood.
It's vast, it's beautiful, it's complicated, it's detailed.
It's a reflection of who we are and where we've been.
It transcends the whole holiday and the season, and it is a community thing.
Okay, looks like we've got our work cut out for us. We'll have lots of guests from many different backgrounds joining us for this hour to weigh in. And we're going to start right here at Louisville Public Media. Otis Jr. is an afternoon host on 91.9 WFPK, and he's also a singer, songwriter, and recording artist himself.
Black people, when they hear a certain part or beginning of a certain Christmas song, I think it takes us all back to our grandmother's house, you know.
I was thinking that myself. It's a lot about nostalgia. Mm-hmm. That's why no matter how old you are, if you're Black, there's certain songs you know, right? Like, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, you a youngin'. Yeah. All right. So what are your favorite Black Christmas songs?
My favorite Black Christmas songs, the two main ones that I can never decide which is like the Black Christmas song for me, is, well, I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier, and I think I did decide. Donny Hathaway's This Christmas is like the Black Christmas song. But for me, I don't know, because Donny Hathaway is one of my favorite. I mean, if not, no, Donny Hathaway is my favorite soul singer. But The Temptation Silent Night is actually, it's the one for me. I don't know. I don't know, something about it in my mind. You hear it, you already know. You're just like, you're transported. I think it's, Temptation Silent Night.
I love that one. I love both of those,
Yeah.
but I love that. I have a playlist where that one, there's just something about the lower tones in the Temptation song. Yes. So in your life, have you found that there's a distinction between what Black folks listen to at Christmas time and what pretty much, everybody else listens to?
Yeah, absolutely. even even when it's the same songs, like Silent Night and Frosty the Snowman, we're it's the Temptations, it's the Jackson Five, it's gonna be Dan Ross and the Supremes singing my favorite things. Even if it is the same compositions, it's always specific versions that I think are special to us.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I feel like people would be like, all the other music, it's all American Christmas music, but I think that there has been such a history of being excluded from things, especially that mood of the classic American Christmas music. It reminds you of those movies where there were no black people, and a time where black people didn't have access to things. So that nostalgia is kind of tainted, I think. So the it's a safer way to enjoy the season, I think, to have those black compositions.
That's such a great point. I mean, a really great point. Like, it's not that we don't like Bing Crosby, but it just doesn't have the same resonance for us.
Right.
And then so where do you sit on Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas?
I am so glad you brought up her, because I was like, okay, we're gonna be talking about Black Christmas music. I was like, does Mariah Carey count? Because I say Mariah Carey counts because a lot of people, she's someone who benefits from privilege of complexion or certain things. But culturally, historically, Mariah Carey really is of the black people, like to the baby face up to the, like her more recent, like when her image change and everything. I think that it is she's absolutely a staple in black culture. So
despite what Tommy Mottola wanted to do.
yes. But yeah, All I Want for Christmas, that's definitely one that transcends the black music and the American music. It's one that just is of the Christmas season. But yeah, I think that Mariah Carey she definitely has a special place in black music for me.
All right. So then one last thing I'm going to ask you about, because, there's the Christmas music that's more religious, and that's like, popularized tone, but it's more religious. And then there's like the Christmas music that, I call it the sexy snow music, like
Quiet Storm.
Yes. Like, what are your favorites in that? I mean, I know my favorite, but what are your favorites? What about Boys to Men?
Oh, yes. Okay. Now you're bringing it back. I was like, what are some of these songs? Why can't I think of? That's definitely one of them. Also,
Destiny's Child.
I grew up in the 90s with two older sisters, so they always listened to Destiny's Child, 8 Days of Christmas.
8th day of Christmas, my baby gave to me a pair of Chloe shades and a diamond belly ring. On the 7th day of Christmas, my baby gave to me a nice back rub, then he massaged my feet.
What Otis said is so true. Black music puts us right back at Grandma's house. It triggers our emotions. And black artists have a knack for making those emotional connections in their storytelling. We're going to talk now with Dr. Dwandalyn Reese. She's Associate Director for the Humanities at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in D.C. And she used to be the curator of music and performing arts there. Reese says Christmas music hits us at a time of the year when emotions are already high.
I think it taps in, a lot of it taps into popular music styles, but it taps into the emotion. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think one of the things that taps into the emotion and the commercialism of the season, it taps into a part of the season that we're supposed to be remembering. And the emotion that is represented in the music really hits people in a place and at a time that it really means something. And it sings about all kinds of things. It's not all about Santa and Christmas. It sings about being brokenhearted, being in despair, looking for encouragement. And so those same sentiments that we find in our music that we listen to during the rest of the year are particularly poignant at this time of the year.
I so agree. You know, the other thing I was thinking about, looking at my own personal playlist, is that there's such a diversity, even among our Black Christmas holiday songs, right? So you have like the funny, the Jackson 5, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, that kind of, subset. And then, one of my favorites, kind of the slow, romantic by the fireplace, Let It Snow by Boyz II Men. Yeah, but these are all considered holiday songs. What do you think about that?
Well, I love the diversity, and I think what we have are artists drawing on a variety of traditions and emotions. I mean, the Let It Snow can be a really nice, aside from Letting It Snow, be a really nice romantic ballad. Or, a song like Mary Boy Child by Harry Belafonte, which was written by Chester Hairston, kind of out of that African-American spiritual tradition. And then taking some of our traditional carols and turning them over, giving them a total treatment that's different than what we're used to hearing, that really speaks to the genres from which these traditions come from. So I think the diversity is part of the strength of that. You can have classical music and artists singing Christmas songs. So they're all people kind of really participating in that holiday expression.
Yeah, and so do you have any thoughts about, like, if you interviewed 20 people, 20 Black people who walked through the door and said, what's your favorite Christmas song? What is the song that you think that most of them would probably say?
I'm going to throw out Silent Night by the Temptations, but that's just one song. Mm-hmm. People are looking for different things in their music as well. Mm-hmm. And all of these songs really reach you at different places and different sentiments.
The song that I hear the most mentioned by people of all ages, Black folks of all ages, is This Christmas by Donny Hathaway.
Oh, absolutely. That's a given for me.
Right. Yeah.
And there's so many covers of that too as well. But he captures that spirit, that the poignancy and his interpretation of the song. He ties us back to old school, but also carries a sentiment that crosses time. And I see people transcending, transforming songs to be much more than what they seem to be at face value. So there are many examples of that. One of my favorites is Whitney Houston's "Do You Hear What I Hear?"
I just added that to my playlist.
Oh, okay. And she just turns that into an anthem of sorts. And it's big, it's broad, but it's worshiping the season, worshiping the religious sentiment, but also the same voice that she brings to her romantic ballads in a sense. So they're carrying themselves in their interpretation to these songs, which I think can frequently change them and have them mean something more to listeners.
We're going to take a short break, but while we're on the subject of holiday nostalgia, I asked some folks I know to share their favorite Black Christmas songs with me, and we'll be hearing those throughout the hour, starting right now.
My name's Giselle Roden. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and my two favorite Black Christmas songs are Santa Baby by Eartha Kitt.
Santa baby, just slip a sable under the tree for me.
And the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. It has to be those two. The same reason. Reminds me of my dad. Whenever I go visit and go back home to St. Louis to visit my parents, my dad says it's not the Christmas season until he hears those two songs. And whenever they come on, he gets real excited. He always goes, "What?" And he always tries to do his best Nat King Cole impression. Granted, it is not that great, but my mom usually rolls her eyes at him and we have a good laugh. So yeah, it always reminds me of home whenever I hear it, whether I'm with them or not. I could probably recite them and sing them just like Eartha Kitt and Nat King Cole because I've been learning from my dad the whole time.
Hurry down the chimney tonight. Hurry.
This is Gifting a Soulful Christmas from Louisville Public Media. We'll be right back.
Tonight.
I'm Betty Winston Baye. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. And let me tell you about Christmas. I love Black Christmas. I love Black Christmas songs. I used to write columns for the Courier Journal, and one of the columns I wrote was about how Black people love Christmas. And so my baby Christmas songs are generational. When I was a little girl, we always played Nat King Cole, Christmas song, chestnuts roasting, and all of that. And then as I got to a certain age, then it became the Temptations Christmas album, which I love. And now one of my favorites is also by Kim, his Christmas album, and there's a wonderful tune on there with Kim and Lettucey about what I want for Christmas. And I think it is so fabulous, and I love it so much. So when you all get done with all those traditional Christmas songs, check out some of the Black Christmas songs. It's wonderful.
Welcome back to Gifting a Soulful Christmas, a look at Black holiday music from the Race Unwrapped podcast. I'm Michelle Tyreen Johnson. One thing that people have to decide for themselves is when it's time to start listening to Christmas music. For me, that's the day after Thanksgiving. I don't want to hear any Black Christmas music until Black Friday. This year, I spent Thanksgiving with my bestie, Adrienne Bennett, and one of her favorites is also mine.
This Christmas, Donny Hathaway. I mean, that is Christmas. If I don't hear that song, I don't know if it's Christmas. That is the quintessential Christmas song for me. I don't know if this is correct to mention, but Frank Sinatra.
That is not black
I know.
blackity-black Christmas.
He's not, but that's okay. It's one of my favorites. Are we just talking blackity black?
Yes, we are.
Okay, well then I need to mention Nat King Cole. I need to hear him singing the Christmas song. I know somebody else is going to mention it, but I just feel like I need to mention it because I don't think you're going to mention it. You're not going to give him his props. So
I don't dislike Nat King Cole.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Spoiler alert for Adrienne, almost everybody else mentioned Nat King Cole and the chestnuts roasting. We did make a playlist of all the songs we're talking about today, and you can link to it at lpm.org/soulfulchristmas. And yes, Nat King Cole is on there. Dr. Richard Cooper is co-coordinator of African American Studies at Widener University in Philadelphia. He also directs the Bachelor's of Social Work program there, and he had a radio show in Philly for 11 years all about Black culture. I asked Dr. Cooper how he defines Black Christmas music and what sets it apart.
It's vast. It's vast. It's beautiful. It's complicated. It's detailed. So, and I'm so glad you didn't ask me to compare it to white people. Not that I'm opposed to doing that, but there's a vastness within African American culture all by itself, particularly along musical lines. Okay.
I asked you about how would you define Black Christmas music, but my second question was going to be about why is there the divide between what's played on Black radio stations and what's played on white radio stations this time of the year?
The separation that you ask about today had an origin in white racism. So it's not so unusual to see these separations. And then in the 40s or so, as it got more and more popular, and the standards were covered and accepted by Black artists, 60s, Johnny Mathis, I said King Cole, like all of these black folks that quite literally could sing, all of a sudden, whites are introduced more and more to black versions, the Perry Comos and whatever that did the standards. Then they're introduced to the black singers that perform them as well or better. And then as we move to the 60s, so as we get to today, it's like you get the Motowns and whatever, and they started covering these tunes largely initially for black audiences that they found other people loved, Temptations, Four Tops, and whatever. And what black artists did, not unlike others, they put their style to it. So you're going to get the harmonies with like the Temptations that they were known for, lead, basses, tenors, altos, whatever. And you see that iteration, 70s, go to Curtis Blow in what, in the 70s, like I was in college in mid 70s. His Christmas rap was hot. It followed all the cadences of hip hop. Yeah, there you go. And we were like, so our generation was like, did what you did. Yeah, like, what? That's Curtis Blow. My mother wasn't listening to Curtis Blow, but we were. So there were differences. And then you had in the 70s, the funk. Funk was more university, but Stevie Wonder's version, then little Stevie Wonder, like hot. Jackson 5, I'm roughly the same age as Michael Jackson would have been. So that was hot. And then it crossed over. So there's always been this bouncing back and forth of these things that start off as unique in black, quote, culture, but typically are accepted, gobbled up, copied, become like, quote, mainstream. That phenomenon is not unusual. And as you probably know, Christmas music, when it's written by the author, makes money over time. It's an investment where it just makes money. It just banks. Like if it gets airplay and gets to be popular, the loot rolls in annually. So it makes money. And there are a bunch of songs that never get played, but they were made in hip hop. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, there were a lot of funk songs. And then with black music, like others, there's regional, there were blues also, a little bit more raunchy, but there were blues hits, in the South. There's, I used to play, when I did a show, I used to play like, wait a minute, there are hits in reggae that did Christmas, the Caribbean. I never heard of them because we didn't play them, but they were loved, even in the warm weather. Rudolph's coming, to Jamaica, and it's hot. So when you look at the broader tapestry of, African-inspired music about Christmas, it's everywhere. And it's in every genre. You could find like unique songs if you dig in the vinyls, like with a two-step bop kind of a flavor. Let me just tell this one quick story. I'm at a Christmas party for my job, Black-owned company. And an older guy is like, hey, why haven't they played this song that I didn't know at the time because I was young? Merry Christmas, Baby. Sure did treat you nice. I'm like, what is that? Like, I'm young. I'm like, what is that? They broke that joint out. There's like 20 Merry Christmas, Baby. Sure did treat you nice. I'm like, I never heard of it, only because I was young. But once you heard of it, you saw the diversity. So my point is there's a lot of diversity just even from within Black culture. There was an older lady that played like the standards that kind of were more operatic, but they were Black singers. I was like, I never heard of these. Because I find them awful. but she said, these are the ones that were played in our house. My grandmother played Johnny Mathis, King Cole, so a lot of it depends on who's playing the music. The problem today is that you can tap in and create your own playlist. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you get to do your own thing that you're not sharing with other people other than the standards that are played in school, the Rudolphs and the so-called secular classics. You're going to get in choirs. If you're church, you're going to get O Little Town. You're going to get Violet Night. You're going to get those. But the Black covers of those on vinyl or CD are still amazing.
So, Richard, what would you say? I mean, I know what I think it is, but I want to know what you think is the quintessential Black Christmas / holiday song.
I can't do that. I can't do it. I can't give you one. I cannot give you one. I could say it was Nat King Cole. I could say it was the Jackson 5. I could say it was Stevie Wonder. I don't have one. On radio stations, typically, or on websites where they let people vote, you kind of get to see. And I could look up the list, but there's not a unifying one that crosses. Like if I'm asking 20-year-olds, you rarely find that it's going to be the same one even for 40-year-olds.
So it's funny you should say that, though, because the one song that I was thinking, I'm surprised you didn't mention, that I have heard across like all the generations of Black folks is this Christmas by Donny Hathaway.
There are young people that, and there are covers on that. It's so funny. You said that. Remember the writer, Hathaway changed it, but and you can look it up. The original writer was modeling it based on the King Cole song. When Donnie got his hands on it, he was like, "No, I'm going to do this and do this and do this." It would be like if you said top 10, you said what is the one? Top 10, it would be up there. Sure, yeah. I mean, Bootsy Collins got a Christmas song. I can't even think of what it is right now. Most people haven't heard it, but my generation did, so it's that type of thing. It would rank high. So does Stevie Wonder. So does Michael Jackson.
So what are your favorite? I mean, just a couple. What are your favorite, like all-time favorite? Like what sings Christmas to you when you hear it?
I love the Johnny Mathises. They just bring tears to my eyes. There are the Jackson 5 we played a lot. Like I said, everybody has one. The Stevie Wonder, anything that Stevie Wonder did, just in terms of the classics.
We're mostly NPR listeners, which means mostly white folks. And so I'm sure there's going to be the white people who go, I listened to Stevie Wonder, but yet I personally went to white grade school and high school, and what I was listening to on the Black radio station and what my white friends were listening to on their different radio station were two whole different sets of songs for the most part. So what do you think? Is it racist to talk about just Black music, Black holiday music?
Well, unfortunately, people don't understand diversity and cultural humility, appreciation of a diverse range. Like if we said even in American culture, and I could, like if we said Italian, for example, and I teach cultural diversity as well. So there are Italian religious operatic standards in Christmas music. I may not know them, but I know that they exist. And I know that there are those in the Irish tradition. I know that there are those in the Polish ethnic tradition. I know you can lay out almost any ethnic group, so devoid of race, that you will find that there were historical and cultural traditions that carried over, that in some way fueled or melted into what is the American identity. The problem is, because of racism, Black people were not supported or allowed to assimilate into the culture. Not saying we want to or any of that, but just blend in and be accepted in ways still that other groups weren't.
You said something that is, I think, the underbelly of all of this. It's not so much that Black people have just created this complete genre of Black music that is separate and can be carved out from all of Christmas and holiday music, but there's a sound to it that's different, even when our artists are singing something that 15 other artists have done. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
Yes, but now you're asking the question related to aesthetics. Oh, we didn't talk about aesthetics. So like there are then with percussion, call and response, rhythmical patterns, tones, use of falsetto, baritone. Like there are things that are aspects when you look at the aesthetic. What's it made of? What's the oh wait, you're supposed to dance. Wait, that's R&B. You can dance to it and it be Christmas tree. Wait a minute, they're rapping. Wait, we can do call and response and dance and rap and freestyle. when it's live. So no, there are aesthetics that are unique, that are part of what makes it uniquely Black in any genre. And then if you use trap rap has aesthetics that I don't care for, but they're there. I can name what they are. Mumble rap does too. I don't listen to it, but I can say, what makes it, there are patterns, there are ways of performance. It is constructed in ways that follow either an African archetype or what other people say are hybrid, mixed, but have unique African aspects to them and either enhance or add to whatever the genre is. Yes. Boom shakalaka. Definitely. Yeah, sure.
So when Donny Hathaway sings This Christmas, what's different? What is it about Donny singing This Christmas that has it hits different, as the kids say?
Yeah,
it hits different.
Followed in part of the soul ballad tradition, but others have fed the horns and and this Christmas he's followed. So his tone, his calling out will be. Some have put it in the social protest area. It manifested the hopes and dreams. A very special Christmas for me. And the way that he riffed and so on. Remember, the tune was written to kind of be more like King Cole, who was unique. So that if you write music, if you perform music, you see and hear things about the unique aspects of Black culture or R&B that others don't. But given when it was released, it fit then a soulful rendition and it's not that, let me clear something up. And I thank you for asking this question. It like white, Dolly Parton, like people follow unique traditions that aren't just simply white. They're Southern, they're Appalachian, they're country Western. And then in that there's rockabilly. Like, so if we just allow ourselves to say white versus Black or Black versus white, it oversimplifies the complexity of what we are hearing. In fact,
Absolutely
sometimes
agree.
there's borrowing going on between both, although this way of singing is like, oh, but listen to the bass. Oh, they borrowed that. Oh, that keyboard. Okay, they did a riff here. Like, so if we just continue to be, dichotomous, this or that, we lose the complexity of like gumbo. Gumbo's got a lot of stuff going on in there. And Creole says there's a lot of mixtures. Like, wait a minute, there's a lot going on in Creole. There's Black, there's Indigenous, there's European, but it's all in there. So we can't always be like binary and say this or that.
It's time for another break. But first, I asked some folks to share their favorite Black Christmas songs, and here are some more picks.
My name is Teresa. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, and a couple of my favorite Black Christmas songs are Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC and A Very Merry Christmas by TLC. I love these two songs because they represent two of my favorite genres of music, hip-hop and R&B, respectively. Also, they're holiday without being super cheesy.
It was December 24th on Hollis Ave at the dark when I seen a man chilling with his dog at the park. I approached him very slowly with my heart full of fear. Looked at his dog, oh my God, a ill reindeer.
I love the fact that Christmas in Hollis makes a cameo in Die Hard, one of my favorite holiday movies, even though I know that's a hotly contested opinion.
My name is Patricia Gaston. I'm calling in from Lawrence, Kansas, and my favorite holiday song is This Christmas by Donny Hathaway. Every time I would hear Hang All the Mistletoe, I'm going to get to know you better. This Christmas, I knew that the holiday was near.
You're listening to Gifting a Soulful Christmas from Louisville Public Media. We'll be right back.
Support comes from the Fresh Market, with a new store now open on Summit Plaza Drive. Find fully prepped holiday meals in online ordering at thefreshmarket.com.
My name is Bria Jones. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. And my favorite Black Christmas songs are probably Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the Jackson 5.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
and This Christmas from the SWV Christmas album. Both of them were just like big parts of my childhood when I think about Christmas. I remember one year, one of my younger brothers got a toy guitar for Christmas, and I remember him pretending to play it and dance around to Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I think just hearing both of those songs really do transport me back to my childhood and the feelings that like kids have about Christmas and all of that excitement bubbling up. And so those are probably my two favorite, but there are so many others that I could go on about and list and talk about at length, but I'll save it to those two for now.
Welcome back to Gifting a Soulful Christmas, a look at the wonderful world of Black Christmas music. From the Race Unwrapped podcast, I'm Michelle Tyreen Johnson. Like we always say, Black people are not a monolith. Neither is Black Christmas music. Some of it's about Jesus. Okay, a lot of it's about Jesus. But some of it's about more grown folk business. Here's one of my personal favorites in that category.
Come over here and help me trim the tree. I wanna wrap you up, baby, they'll see you're the only present I need. There's so much more.
My next two guests will sound familiar to those of you who listen to all the stations here at Louisville Public Media. Kiana Dell is the engagement manager and an afternoon host at 90.5 WUOL. And Destiny Carter, a.k.a. Lady D, hosts a show called In the Pocket. You can hear it Saturday nights on 91.9 WFPK. Destiny and Kiana are also both musicians and creators themselves. We all sat down together to talk more about what makes Black Christmas music so special. Kiana kicks us off.
I feel like as Black people, we have had to create our own spaces of where we see ourselves and see our own experiences and our own traditions. So, like, for me, it's not Christmas unless I hear that Boyz II Men Christmas album.
Oh, my God. Because I had Let It Snow. I was ready for it in the back of my head.
They said Silent Night. As soon as I hear that Boyz II Men Silent Night, it's done. It's over.
Let It Snow is my song.
Listen, because that was the first thing that came in my head. I know. And I think it's our ability to, like, take something so classic, like you said, and, like, make it our own. I feel like we are very used to do that. We're doing that culturally a lot, especially with music. So seeing the different variations, not only from like Boyz II Men, but like from Whitney Houston to like Destiny's Child to like
Stevie
Donny
Wonder.
Hathaway, like you see like all these variations of like the same classic song, but like how it's moved through like media and music in such a really special way. So
Yeah. My mom asked me to perform This Christmas every year. She like wants to hear me sing it, the Donny Hathaway This Christmas.
Oh, man.
awesome.
I mean, for me, this Christmas is like probably, Donny Hathaway's This Christmas is probably my favorite. Like, okay, it is Christmas.
Mhm.
You know, like Let It Snow is my favorite sexy Christmas song.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to see it I don't want to hear it any other time of the year. Right.
Mhm.
But there are just so many variations that are just so unique that when people are like, well, what's so different about Black Christmas music? Oh, where do we start? And your family. Okay, so if you don't mind my asking, how old are you guys?
I am 26.
Okay.
I'm 27.
Okay. So it's just funny that, you know, and I'm considerably older than y'all, and how I hear the same songs from people, from Black folks, regardless of age. Why do you think that is?
I think it's how we like engage. Like I feel like around Christmas, it's a very like generational affair. I don't know how else to like explain it, but I vividly remember like growing up going to like my grandmother's house and like everyone in my family helping like not only decorate the inside of her house, but we cooked, we decorated the outside, we listened to music, we exchanged stories and pictures, and it was really just a time of like gathering. And during that time of gathering, it's only unique that you share music. And with the age difference for most of us, like yeah, I do remember my grandparents playing like Eartha Kitt and Nat
Mhm.
King Cole, but also I'm like, y'all hear Ashanti's new Christmas album? And they're like, absolutely not, because it's a completely different time. So like having that history and that classic knowledge, but also being able to bring a new age spin on it has really kept traditions alive, and like not just, Christmas traditions, but in music as well.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, especially with my parents' generation, like my mom was never encouraged to share verbally in a way that was very emotional, right? A lot of things were unspoken, but you can feel the love and how they share their traditions with us. And so I think seeing my grandmother pass her music down, seeing my mom pass her music down, how like she just kind of puts those songs on in the background while we do our annual family cookie baking and decorating the tree, like it's not being said, but you can feel the love and the sharing and the passing down of traditions without even having to say the words.
Exactly. And I don't know if people listen. I mean, it's funny that we work for a radio station, but I don't know if people listen to like music, like the pop culture music stations the way they used to. I mean, I know I primarily listen to Spotify, right? So
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
I'm curating what I listen to. But that's how I marked Christmas growing up in Kansas City, is at the black radio stations. It's like, okay, it's time to start playing the Temptations, Donny Hathaway, the OJs. I mean, yeah, they played Nat King Cole. My best friend teases me because she thinks I don't like Nat King Cole. I do like Nat King Cole. I do. I just don't probably like think of him as my Christmas musician the way. So you just say, what are your favorite songs? Your personal favorites?
Yeah, I felt like, was it the chestnuts roasting? I feel like when I hear that, I just hear like Nat King Cole's version.
Yes.
Like there's so many versions of that, but like the strings to like, I don't know, you hear it and you instantly know that it is Nat King Cole's version. And like, though I wasn't like born during that time, I imagine like him really paving ways, not only just for Christmas music, but just like for soul music in general. And during the time when Christmas was around, that also being a very like staple moment for Black culture as well. Because I also don't, when I'm like thinking of Christmas music, I'm not immediately to Nat King Cole, but just that song in particular is like such a big staple. And it's like, to me, that's what starts Christmas.
Yes.
Like when we think about like just the beginning of just the whole holidays, I hear that immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to put on Ella Wishes You a Swingin' Christmas when I decorate. The Ella Fitzgerald Christmas album. I know that thing like the back of my hand. I love that album.
So it's funny because you mentioned Nat King Cole and Ella Fitzgerald, and I'm sure for folks who are white who are listening, they're like, but we listen to that too. But what makes it different for us, do you think?
It sounds so weird to say, but like the soul and like I don't know, just there's something behind it that just feels so ancestral. Because, I mean, when I think of also just the kind of songs we put, like James Brown, like Santa Comes to the Ghetto, like I feel like just that song in general not only has like the Christmas theme, but like the highlights of what Black culture experiences within it as well. And even in those classic songs, you can still feel like the strength and the passion behind that without that really being said.
Yes.
It feels more relatable when the music is being written and sung by somebody who knows what your experiences are like. And I know obviously like the majority of us who are listening experience Christmas, or celebrate Christmas or hear Christmas music. But it's different when you hear a story told by a Black person as a Black person. It feels more at home to you.
Right. I think about you, Kiana, because you are on the classical station side. So the classical, like the traditional classical music in a way I don't. I couldn't tell you Beethoven from Mozart with a gun to my head, but
call me, I will help you.
Yeah, I know you would. So like, how would you explain, like if you were playing This Christmas by Donny Hathaway, how would you set it up?
Ooh, I would say on 90.5 WUOL, we love a crossover moment. Music is the most human way that we can share with each other, and I would like to share a tune that makes me feel at home. Here is This Christmas by Donny Hathaway.
See,
I love it.
I know, exactly. And there are so many variations like we already talked about. Like we talked about the sexy holiday music, right? But then there's that that sad holiday music. Like, what do the lonely do
Ooh.
at
Oh
Christmas?
my God. What's the one about I wish my father, I wish my father was here. No, you know the one I'm talking
I
about?
think so. I have to hear it. Wait.
My mom plays it every year.
I don't
Every
think I know
year.
that one. Oh my
I
goodness.
think I was a freshman in high school when we lost my grandfather. So just hearing that, like, and hearing her play it every year too, I'm like, ooh, it hits me every
Yeah,
time.
there's a and then Luther's every year, every Christmas. I'm like, every year, I'm like, are they gonna show up? Like every year, I'm like, well, I'm just waiting as if there's gonna be a different outcome, you know. But that's a part of, I don't know, the Christmas vibe, even though it's not maybe talking about Christmas and the holiday and the, you know, what is it, the reason for the season. It's still culturally, I don't know, it's a palette, so to speak, you know. And then, you know, when you think about how so many Christmas songs are sung by white artists, and so it's not that white people may not know the song, they just may not necessarily connect with the artist singing the song. What do you think?
Yeah, I think like Destiny said earlier, Christmas and these holidays and this music are catalysts for gathering. And I don't know that white people always have to think about the weight of when they gather. It's normalized for them to be together in large groups all the time, doing what they do, celebrating and moving through the world. It's not normal for us. I mean, obviously, it's normal for us to convene and get together, but for that to be seen as something that is safe and not
such
a threat.
free and liberation.
And so free, exactly. And you have to think when we're in these spaces with our family, it's like some of the most joyful times, even when we're talking about our lost loved ones or, you know, in these somber moments, we're experiencing these somber moments together. And there's that freedom in being able to just let loose when we're not normally allowed to just let loose.
Yeah, you know, it reminds me of something. I was talking to Otis Jr., and he was saying that one of the reasons why it's hard to connect with some Christmas songs sung by white artists is because they come from the movies where there were no black people.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I want to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Because I felt like even within like movies, it's a whole different like brand. Because I feel though that I gathered with a lot of my family, we still really ingested a lot of like classic, mostly white Christmas movies. And my dad's favorite movie was White Christmas, and we watched it every year. And I remember watching White Christmas and like watching it and absolutely connecting to the music, but also feeling like there was some disconnect or like eeriness. It really puts things into perspective from the cinema aspect of it. And I feel like, you know, music is a part of media just as much as the visual aspects of it. So I feel like all of that ties into each other and is probably by design.
Interesting to watch those stories, especially in those time periods, and see like the happy housewives and the communities, and they're bringing their neighbors things, and to think that we wouldn't be able to move through the world in that way at that time. That those aren't our stories. We don't see ourselves reflected in that. So it's sweet. Like it's a story about family and coming together in Christmas, but at the same time, there is that eeriness in watching it and knowing that like we wouldn't have been able to move like that then.
Yeah. And knowing that like within all of that, we still move within joy in our spaces, but like there is still the noticing that oppression and everything else is also keeping us from those spaces. So like we can have, I don't know, the polarity of both of like, yes, we do experience Black joy and liberation during these times on holidays, but also we have to notice of like what is going on in the world as well.
Yeah.
Like we can't live a world where it's just one or the other.
Right, exactly. You know, I saw the Beyonce movie this past weekend with
I did too.
Yeah, right? With a couple of friends who are white. And I was explaining to them, like when she was singing Before I Let Go, and I was explaining that was a classic Black cookout song.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in that, you know, there's a Frankie Beverly. And I feel like Christmas music is Black Christmas music is as close as we get to like cookout music, right?
Absolutely.
Right? It's like the cookout brought into the winter holiday. What do y'all think about that?
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I feel like I could sing one of those songs to you. Like if I started singing the Boyz II Men "Let It Snow" down the hallway, you would immediately know.
Yes.
So it's just another catalyst for connection too. The same way that like cookout music is, you know.
Right, exactly. What do you think about where Mariah Carey's?
Oh my God.
Where does that fit into? I mean, I know Sister Girl
Is it a classic yet?
is black. It's classic, but it's not a black classic, even though she's a black artist.
I think it has been such a meme. Like it has been moved into mainstream pop culture in a way that is comical. So unfortunately, it's, for me at least, very difficult to take it seriously. And like getting real into the nitty-gritty of it, like I feel like it is just like a capitalistic kind of, you hear that on like commercials and like you think about Macy's and like selling things, you know what I mean? So I think the reason why it, even though she's a black artist, it hasn't necessarily been ushered into the black classic catalog in the same way is because it's been kind of used in much different ways.
It's been taken and like sold back to us in a different way.
Yeah, like we know that Stevie Wonder's Christmas tunes are for us and we play Stevie around the tree. But All I Want for Christmas Is You, if that starts playing, we laugh and then we like skip, you know?
I still think it's a bop. I love it, but I don't think of it in the same way I think of all the other black Christmas. I mean, it's like, you know, you mentioned earlier, Destiny, Santa Claus comes straight to the ghetto. I mean, whether you a black person who lived in the ghetto or not, like you understand that song in a primal way that you're not going to get about you know, Mariah's.
Yes.
And I'm a Mariah stan, but you know, I agree with you that it's become its own thing in a way that kind of is. So, okay, if you each were going to like initiate someone into the Black Christmas sound that's different than what they would hear on another, and you can't use Nat King Cole because, you know, white folks listen to Nat King Cole, you know, Black Christmas songs that you pretty much are only going to hear on Black Christmas. Stevie borders on that though, right?
Yeah, he does, but Stevie. I think that the thing that separates, and as musicians, you'll be able to point it out in terms, but even if you're not a musician, you'll feel it. The timbre of Black Christmas music is so close to gospel in chord changes, in song structure, in the way the melody moves, that I think that inherently, even in a way that I cannot explain to you in words, that is why it feels closer to us. Whereas if you think about All I Want for Christmas Is You or white Christmas music, it has that 1-4-5 pop music, widely heard sound.
Right.
So I think that you feel it in the timbre of the music, the difference between Black Christmas music and white Christmas music.
So what would your 3 songs be?
Oh, it would be This Christmas. And I will accept either the Donny Hathaway version or the version from the This Christmas movie that came out in the 2000s.
Oh, the Chris Brown?
Oh,
right.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
I haven't. Well, debatable. Look, it's still a good version, but
you young folks can make me go look up that one. I thought you were going to go to Temptations, but you went to Chris Brown.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Like, there's been so many remakes. Like, I'm pretty sure like Gucci Mane has a Christmas album.
He does. DMX does too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's been so transferred in a different way that I'm like, that's the beauty of it. Is like,
the beauty.
It's, I don't know. It hasn't been like marketed to us in a different way that feels foreign. Whereas I think when we're talking about like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, like in the same ways of it is like a pop like pushback to us. Like Gucci Mane, you can feel the soul in Gucci Mane's just as much as you can feel the soul in the Temptations.
For sure.
And it's not necessarily like gospel, but you can still understand like the sub context and the intergenerational just like expansion that music has followed through Black music through.
Okay.
His
all right.
music
I
as
agree.
well.
You gotta hear DMX singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Oh,
Reindeer.
his little raspy.
You got
It's so good.
It's so good.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. Come on.
Okay, so you had This Christmas. What are your other 2 songs?
This Christmas, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, the Jackson 5.
Ooh.
And Silent Night, the Boyz II Men.
Ooh, okay.
I gotta do different because Kiana took mine.
Yes.
And I had to like reframe. I'm gonna go something really different because also I'm gonna do Curtis Blow's Christmas Rapping.
Okay.
Because we cannot put that as like the shift of like early 90s, 2000s. Like, I don't know. That was a staple in my house when I found out that it was even a thing.
If you made a playlist, you better share it with me right now.
I did.
DJ
did.
I know. I need it too.
has the best playlist.
I need you to put that in our little.
I will.
Yes.
Because as I was like searching, I was like, I actually have to like sit down and actually think about it. But I'm gonna do that. I'm also gonna do James Brown, Santa Claus Goes to the Ghetto.
Yep.
Okay.
And you said Let It Snow, Boyz II Men?
I did.
I'm gonna do Share Love. It's a little earlier,
that
but
is a good
I'm gonna do Share
one.
Love just so I don't be like the same. But
Okay, sure.
absolutely.
Well, I know we have to wind this down, which is a shame because I could talk to you two all day long. But you know, what would you want to leave people with in this whole discussion that I haven't asked about the importance of Black Christmas music?
I think I would tell them the same thing that I usually say when talking about jazz as a jazz musician. So for non-Black people, as you listen to Black music, you have to consider where it came from. And you hear that soul and you have to think about all of the barriers that it had to go through and how it is used as a method of resistance and freedom and closeness. And then I think for us, for Black people, you know, like that is yours. Use that moment as like your cleansing breath and to remind you of times when you did feel joy and you did feel free and continue to use it as a method for those things.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. As education is far than just like listening and enjoying it, and it is, you know, consumption firsthand. I think we can't like celebrate something or recognize something without seeing all the places it had to go to get here. Like not only just the music, but like the artist, like the differences within what they had to experience from the people. And I guess also gathering with other people who are different than you, who understand the different plight will also further your education as well. So listen to as much as you can and don't be afraid to learn something new as well.
That's all the time we have this hour. Dang it. I want to thank everyone who joined me. If you haven't heard Race Unwrapped, we talk about stuff like this all the time, y'all. You can find it in your podcast app or at lpm.org/raceunwrapped. Gifting a Soulful Christmas was produced by me and Laura Ellis. Our studio engineer is Eric Matthews. You can find a playlist with all the songs we talked about today and a few more at lpm.org/soulfulchristmas. I'm Michelle Tyreen Johnson. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful holiday.